This is super cool. I'm here with Richard, founder and CEO of SimLab, which is a company you'll know in sim racing, but I'm sitting here in front of this big, impressive warehouse. Is this where SimLab started, or?
SimLab started on a place which is not really much bigger than this. It started in 2015, where I decided to try out an e-commerce. Yeah, it quickly gained traction in a way, like, receiving orders all over the world. And then the goods, the chaos at home kind of erupted in the evenings, where we're doing everything from my living room.
Selling stuff. Making it? Selling it?
Or ordering it, making it, selling it. Yeah, from kitchen table to garage box, garage down the street, basically, which still I received a lot of customers, which sometimes I talk with customers after, let's say, 1 year ago, and they say, "Do you still remember when I came to your garage box?" And I was like, I'm not sure if I remember it, but they actually seen it.
Yeah.
And it was like a hustle.
Part of the history of SimLab.
Yeah, true. 2015, I believe it was. It was like also the perfect timing to start an e-commerce. And obviously sim racing was growing, and and was a little bit of a vacuum for cockpits that were rigid. So I started out, drawing up cockpits in the breaks of my normal job. That's actually where it started.
In your book,
Yeah, even that, but
Adrian Newey style,
yeah, kind of. But I was 40 hours a week 3D designing stuff. So it was, a cockpit is in that regard quite simple because it only has a couple of parts.
So I find it interesting because we got all these products on the table, and I'm sure we'll talk about these. And there's products coming out like the direct drive wheelbase that seems so far from a cockpit. Like this Mercedes AMG F1 wheel is so far from a cockpit that to be honest with me, was that ever part of the vision, or was the vision never just cockpits?
It was. Yeah, it was.
The vision was
to expand beyond cockpits.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of awaiting your chance. We even made products or design products that were never released. So
let's talk a little about cockpits, because in sim racing it all starts in the way with the cockpit. It's like the motherboard in the way of a PC or something, I guess. And the SimLab cockpits have very distinctive style that I think is often copied, if we're just honest about it. But there are also cockpits that are different, tubular cockpits and other ones that look different. What's your philosophy on cockpits? You've been doing this for 10 years, and SimLab is obviously right at the top of the game in cockpits. What's your view of a good cockpit? Why do you do it the way that you do in SimLab?
End of the line, it's because of the way these aluminum cockpits work. That's just, from a practical standpoint, the best way to build a cockpit. And anything you...
But why is that? To drill in, why?
It's because of the nature of aluminum profiles. So with an aluminum profile, for the cost, you get a lot of real estate, let's say like that. So you get everything in one package. You get insane rigidity out of an aluminum extrusion. You get a lot of modularity out of it. And that's all inherent into an extrusion profile. So you're already 1-0 behind if you try to put anything next to it. Let's take a tube. A tube, you cannot not do much with it. You cannot attach anything to it.
People would say you could clamp stuff to it.
Obviously, you can clamp it, but still it's not so flexible as a profile, because with a profile you can move all directions, for example. Plus you have all sides.
So are you like the Adrian Newey of extrusion? Can you visualize extrusion? Seriously? No, so do you know extrusion just like?
Yeah, obviously, yes. Extrusion is, we're currently using extrusion also in our other products. For example, the housing of our shifter is an extrusion profile. There are several products which are an extrusion. For example, this.
Yeah.
This shape is actually an extrusion.
Okay.
But it's just a U shape that you extrude. It's great. It's one of the tools that I have as my role as a product designer, to come up with effective ways of how to produce a product.
Yeah.
Extrusion is very cost effective. It's widely spread in all kinds of.
So that's, I mean, we'll come back onto cockpits, but I just can't help stop looking at this Mercedes F1 wheel. How was that working with Mercedes as a licensor, essentially?
It started with us being the esports partner, team supplier of Mercedes F1. And the ball got rolling from there, So obviously at one point there was a moment where we started to talk about licensed products. And then obviously this wheel came up.
Was that like what would be the ultimate licensed product? It would be the wheel. Yeah. Is that?
Yeah, of course, of course. It's like, it's like if you're, in all honesty, it's like stating the obvious. This is the only part that you could copy out of a real race car and put it on your sim cockpit. This is one of the authentic parts that you could put on a racing cockpit. So,
and I don't understand how that works. Do you? Because obviously there are licensed products and replicas all the way down, up and down the price range, like super cheap to super expensive, and this is at the high end of the price range. Do you get the CAD files, or do you get the opportunity to inspect it and then you go away and do it yourself, or is it collaborative? Or?
Yeah, it is. It is. So it was just a matter of them trying to clear off the CAD model towards us, clear the restrictions, and just hand over the CAD file. For me personally, with my background as an engineer, it's a really great moment to actually receive the IP of a Formula One team, because what they've done, Mercedes F1 is something that no other team ever has done, and that is to put this piece of IP on the market, for everyone to touch and hold. And I think that's one of the greatest things about this wheel, is that as a Formula One fan, you can have something, I would say Formula One grade in your hand, in your house. Formula One is a very secretive world.
But Formula One teams, they don't sell their wheels. They don't need to or want to, I would say. So do you get that CAD file and then you have a price point that you think this is a price point we can sell it? And then how does that, because their choice of materials and how you manufacture the molds and everything?
This wheel is constructed in the same way as the real one. So it has the front shell, and it's exactly the same as the real one, because we have the CAD file. So you take the CAD files and you start grinding on the model, because you receive you receive the CAD files, but these files you cannot use. So you need to trace it, basically.
Okay.
Just as a kid does trace. So you start tracing it, and you need to be talented to be able to do that, because it's quite a complex shape. But we ended up, 99.9% accurate model. It's just the real thing, basically.
Yeah, this wheel is definitely well known. I don't know how popular it is, because I don't see your sales reports. Do you feel like it should be more popular? Do you feel like people are spending money on wheels over €1,000 a lot these days, and they should be buying this really?
No, I don't think so. I cannot say that.
Okay.
I cannot say that you should buy this wheel. I mean, it's as successful as we hoped it would be. I think so. That's good. It's the project is a success. Like I said, for me personally, the biggest takeaway is that nobody can own a piece of a Formula One car. You cannot walk into the store and buy something. You cannot even. Let's be honest. You cannot even touch a Formula One car.
You're not meant to.
Yeah, no. So it's also very secretive, and this allows you to have something in your hands.
But that's why I wonder whether, truthfully, in your mind, you're like, this is actually a step above, because there are very good quality wheels from loads of different manufacturers in this price range. But they have not had to go through necessarily the licensing approvals that you will have had to go through. I don't know the details of, and I just wonder whether that's a selling point for this wheel that you think is.
One part is the exclusivity, and Mercedes F1 releasing this IP onto the market for everyone to just hold in their hands. But the other side is that this is a great steering wheel. When you put it on your cockpit and you hold it and you feel how all the buttons are within reach, actually such in a natural way, and the grips, they're very comfortable.
That's from the CAD design, so you know that that's how Mercedes.
That's exactly how it's
evolved it.
Yeah, right. So, and then you realize, oh wait, this is actually a really good steering wheel, and it just carries over one to one to a sim, in my opinion. And actually, you know, it's you don't need to use this wheel only for Formula One car. You know, it's perfect for all other Formula One cars, LMP, LMPH or LMP2, 3. It's great. You know, it's very comfortable. Grips are very comfortable, and then sometimes you need to really experience that before you kind of realize, because up until I held this wheel and driven with this wheel, I didn't actually realize that a Formula One wheel needs to be very comfortable, because Hamilton or Russell or Kimi, they cannot have a sore thumb. Yeah? So this wheel is extremely comfortable. The grips are perfectly shaped, so you can drive 1.5 hours at the most intense speeds and most intense forces without your thumb starting to hurt or some pressure points started to develop. And that I think is something I realized just after.
Do you think this is the best Formula One sim racing wheel on the market?
I think that's. I would say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's break it down.
Let me give you just 10 seconds of context. I often get asked, what is the best Formula One sim racing wheel? As just a question in text.
You know, a good wheel is a light, rigid wheel. So this is full carbon fiber. It's super rigid. You know, so all the force feedback translates through this carbon fiber shell to your hands in the best way possible. Then, you know, it's very, very comfortable to use. You know, all the buttons are just where you want them. So if that qualifies as a really good wheel, then this is a really good wheel.
Yeah. The reason why I ask a little bit also is because we spoke a lot about the cockpits and aluminium extrusion, and there are lots of other brands who are doing aluminium extrusion cockpits unlicensed, for example. They're not like branded like this with the Formula One team. However, as far as I'm aware, there's a THRUSTMASTer, a Ferrari replica wheel, but it's a completely different price point. Yeah. There's not another wheel like this in the market. Right. So for Simba, I just wonder if you feel like it commands. This is a real significant product in sim racing as a whole, in the evolution of sim racing. For example, when you first start new cockpits.
For us, it's
for other people to say maybe.
Yeah, that's for other people to say. For us, it's a milestone, and we went all out with this project. So we turned up in Brackley with the first iteration, first prototype, and they were like amazed. Wow, you did it! This is so it can almost not separate it from the real one. And then they also get like activated in a way, like, okay, now we want to really for you to get it right.
Okay.
So every detail, it's like the holes where these screws are there because the real one also has screws there. Here, the back. And I think this might be the biggest.
The bar shifter.
No, this little thing inside. This is a piece of copper.
Oh, really? For what purpose?
Now the real wheel has wiring to ground the wheel. Wiring, copper wiring on the back, and
goes or just
for grounding.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how far we went to actually put in this piece of copper here in this handle.
So actually, it's grounded when you're on it.
Yeah, but it doesn't work with us. This is just the same as the button on the button.
Okay. Yeah. Mystery button.
Yeah. This is to pressure test the wheel.
Oh, okay.
So the real wheel is sealed off for the rain.
Yeah.
And they put pressure on this thing here, and then if it doesn't leak,
okay,
it's if the pressure doesn't drop away when you put it under pressure, it's not leaking.
How has it been working with carbon fiber? Given that it's fair to say you're an expert on aluminium extrusion, did you learn a lot about carbon fiber? Did you know about carbon fiber already from other products, or how's that different with carbon fiber?
Well, carbon fiber is very very intensive. It's a crazily intensive product to manufacture. Every shell is 40 hours of labor.
And that's just the shell.
That's only the shell. And carbon fiber is not as precise with.
It's handmade.
Yeah, it's handmade. So not every shell is the same, and you need to build in smart ways how you're going to neutralize it. So, for example, every shell we are machining, so we neutralize the tolerances between the shells, and that's kind of how you build this wheel.
That's interesting. But I have seen as we came into the studio, warehouse, everything here, that you have a SimLab adorned Mercedes racing car that I didn't know about. Like I was recently at Acertech and they have an LMP3. So what's the story here? Is it just promo? Is it being raced? Or I saw some tire marks on it.
Yeah, right. There's some tire scuffs on it.
Yeah.
But it's
not fake like people have jeans ripped.
No, all right. Oh yeah, right. No, this car is here because of we just wanted to bring it out. We knew that you were coming, and it's not a LMPD car.
Yeah.
It's a very cheap race car in that sense. But it reminds me of my glory days on the track. Joking a little bit, but
no, tell us about that, because people won't. No offense, but I think people may not know about any glory days or not.
Yeah, I imagine that they don't know. Yeah, I understand. No, it's kind of so. One point, I don't not even know exactly which year it was, like 2018 maybe. I got invited just to the track because for fun, and I never ever driven on track next to some tourist labs on Noordschleife, but. And they were like, yeah, jump into this race car and just drive. And I remember Jaap van Laargen, this is a very famous Dutch driver, very successful. He was sitting next to me. All of a sudden, like, okay, standing on the paddock. And I was pretty nervous, but it went really well. I knew exactly, because I've obviously very into sim racing, and it went, just first laps out, a couple of seconds off the pace. And from there on, I decided to drive in the natural.
At that moment, did you know I want to do car racing?
Yeah, pretty.
Okay.
I think if you would have asked me before I jumped into that car, I probably would also say I would like this. And then obviously, went racing in that series. I went really well. Like a bunch of victories, a bunch of poles, no big crashes. Top 3 right away, basically, just because of all my sim racing experience. It also emphasizes, end of the day, everything that what sim is about, how much that carries over to real life. I mean, if you have raced online and you are, for example, at P1, and especially I would say the more serious races that you kind of find in iRacing.
Higher iRating.
Well, not even the higher I rating, but most of the time the races that happen in iRacing, the official ones, are, for example, 40 minutes, 30. It's a little bit more serious than a shootout in Gran Turismo.
4 laps or whatever.
4 laps, yeah. That's everyone is more invested, more committed to the whole hobby, and everyone knows that if you're on P1 position, that you're nervous to make mistakes. You're checking.
Okay, so let me try and it's not some kind of throwaway thing where it doesn't mean anything. Like there is a time commitment and a emotional commitment to being there. So that the person in P1 is genuinely pressurized, right? You feel that.
Right. You're racing real people.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I'm telling this is that, I often get, when I was racing in real life, when I was driving at P1, everyone went in, race over, go onto the paddock, and they would say to me, look, I was driving behind you, but I was hoping you would make a mistake, but I didn't, because of all of the experience that I had in the sim. It's the same. I was...
Because you've done thousands and thousands of laps as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So everything carries over to the sim, which is hugely interesting.
Does that affect your design of sim racing? That sim racing it's a hobby where people are not always, most of the time, 9 times of the time, not doing it because they're choosing it to doing over racing, because most of us can't afford to go racing all the time. No one really can, but we are spending the time there as a hobby, as something to enjoy. Does that affect your design of products? As it has to be enjoyable, as opposed to I could design a cockpit that is like a real car, and the bucket is uncomfortable. And I mean, I'm very.
It's difficult. It's difficult. I think if you're breaking it down, everyone is into sim racing for another reason. And so you cannot cater to one group. There are a lot of sim racers that just enjoy driving in Assetto Corsa on road tracks, mountain roads. You have sim races that are super competitive. They want every last bit of performance they could imagine or they can get. The one thing that is really central is that sim races are much more demanding towards their gear.
Really?
You know, yeah, in the sense of how it looks.
Even the real races, or just their general?
Yeah, obviously, like real races also. You know, real race cars are messy. They're dirty. They're not comfortable. More expensive race cars obviously are more.
But that's not the priority. Is to be.
That's not the priority. Yeah. So, if you take the mindset of a sim racer and you put them in a real race car, let's say to the team boss, like, hey, "Can you move my seat?" And the team boss would say, "The seat is fixed."
Yeah,
that is just the reality.
But you couldn't make a cockpit where you can't adjust these things, or
yeah, but that doesn't.
People talk a lot about adjustability as being a bonus, but that is where there is a divergence between sim racing and real racing. Like, I've done a bit of real racing as well, and like, you know, it can be uncomfortable. And like on this wheel, I know it's a licensed product, but you haven't diverged and put a funky switch on there.
No, right. I keep true to the original.
Yeah. But there will be wheels, other wheels, so you have funky switches.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that there is a difference of, and you said it's interesting because you're selling products to everyone, so you'll be very aware of the whole spectrum of what people want. I mean, everyone watching will have their own view of what sim racing is.
Right, and it's fine, that the how demanding the sim races are. That's fine. It's not a problem, but it is a very clear difference between real racing and sim racing in that regard. Yeah. This pristine environment in which sim racing happens, like in the simulation, is one thing that struck me a lot. The difference between real life and simulation. In simulation, all of the conditions are always the same.
In a sim, static.
Yeah, the car is always the same.
Whether it's warmed up or not.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You press the button, you go in the sim, and it's just always the same. And in real life, it's just...
And you haven't had to go to the track and get your pass and take the car off the trailer, right? And make sure that someone's changing your... Yeah, all this. And I think it's interesting that you talked about the investment in time. Like, that's an investment in time, which means there's a different dynamic when you're on the grid. And I feel like something like iRacing captures that just by having the grid up procedure. Yeah. It just kind of captures a little bit of that when you just sit, when you grid it up, you're like, who hasn't gridded up yet? Why am I waiting? Yeah. But you sat there and like, I know what we're talking about here is like the ultimate level of realism in reality, but I feel like you still have, compared to say Gran Turismo or whatever, I'm sat in my car like.
It's really funny because I've done 1,000+ races in iRacing, and when you have that experience before you go to the real track, then obviously you're rolling up onto your starting position, which is in real life is sometimes very hard to find. You're nervous. Where do I need to look?
There's no black box.
Yeah, there's no button where you're checking like most of the time. Yeah. The last part, you want to roll up really slowly because you don't want to mess up. So you're checking the numbers, and sometimes some tracks have numbers on the hooks, but also numbers on the side. And you try to I'm at 4. Yeah. One, 2, 4, for example. And obviously, with all the experience that I have also with sim racing, you kind of you grid up, you wait, and in real life, it can take 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Sim racing is so different, right? And one of the most different things is this investment. Yeah. The investment in time, the investment in emotion.
Investment in the setup.
And the investment setup. So is that something that when you decide what tier of the market you're aiming for in terms of prices, mm-hmm. because that's how the market is made up, that SimLab has a premium, you're making premium products, because of this investment, like this is going to be an investment, obviously, yeah. But we understand there's a lot of investments going on in sim racing.
Well, I think then you need to not consider this product. This is a one-off, special price class.
But even the cockpits are.
Yeah, I think we're trying to design the cockpits in a way that what we end up with is still a reasonable, it's a good amount of value for money. That's the end goal.
Yeah. But you're not rushing to be like, what's the cheapest cockpit we can do? I don't think you're doing...
Yeah. I mean, we have cheaper cockpits, GT1 Evo, but it's good value for money, and the price range where we sell them in, I think it's quite reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, there like we mentioned, there are lots of different brands making aluminium extrusion cockpits. So if someone recommends get an extrusion cockpit and they Google it, depending on who's spending the marketing dollars, but you're going to have different companies pop up. But I feel like the perception with SimLab is that it's a premium standard product. It's a quality product, and I'm just interested that it seems to be that you have this kind of you see the investment in sim racing. It's like a real hobby,
Yeah, that's what we are. Yeah, that's what the reason why we exist.
Yeah.
Of all the people that want to be invested in their hobby and they want to have a good cockpit where they,
Maybe let's talk about the pedal then, because I do want to talk about the new wheelbase. But you've made this load cell pedal. You have some design cues. I can see some curved edges, etc. Like I know a lot of the pedals these days, whether it's accelerator or load cell, whatever, but they have this kind of let's just say basic kind of aluminium kind of shape. Why did you decide to go down this route that presumably takes more time?
Yeah,
efforts?
It maybe looks on the outside like that, but the design of this pedal is really based on a cost-effective way and a good manufacturing.
From the outside, it looks more stylistic than these.
Yeah, it does.
It
does, but the core of the design is very much about ease of assembly, cost-effective manufacturing, and also, in the end, a durable product. So we chosen for Hall sensors. So that there's no wear and tear on it. We chosen for example, this KIRETH'S type of construction because it's proven. This is a very typical way of solving this, and all of these other pieces are done in this way, so you can have an easy adjustment. So it's all built up from logics, and then we try to make it look nice.
Okay, so you're not going to compromise on those things, and then you make it happen.
It looks more the other way around. Like they try to make really pretty pedals.
Yeah.
It's not the case.
Yeah.
It was really. So I still can see in my head, that these points and this started out as a circle, where we started drawing, and then everything
with the adjustability.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then everything started to kind of fall on its place.
Yeah. But it's interesting again because you talk about this functionality and like having the adjustability, and that's exactly what you said about aluminium extrusion. Is that something that's very philosophically important to you, that people are able to adjust things? And is that because, and I have no idea, so you let me know what you think, is it because people are all shapes and different sizes, or is it because you want people to be able to experiment? Like, what's the reason why you actually value that rather than saying, that's it, this is one you deal with?
Well, I think it's just from the mind of a sim racer. Getting into the mind of a sim racer. Obviously, I am a sim racer myself, so then they want adjustability. Comes very natural.
And you give it to them.
Yes, right. All the design choices we made to make separate pedals, for example, that is because I know that sim racers want to space their pedals themselves.
And how do you know that? Is that because you're chatting with people?
No, because I know that because I'm a sim racer myself.
Let's move on to the wheelbase a little bit, because that's another new product line for SimLab. And is that another example where you started from the principles of, again, let me know if I'm wrong, you feel you know what sim racers want because you're a sim racer, you know what's on the market, and also you want to design something in a cost-effective way. That's what I've taken from these products.
Yeah,
is that right or wrong, or what was?
Yeah, that's right. But there are multiple roads to Rome. It's sometimes very hard to plan things like this. So you need to kind of go with the flow and try to steer wherever you think is necessary in the whole process of having the idea to manufacture a direct drive wheel or to come up with something, and actually, at the end of the road where you have a direct drive wheel and it's ready for launch. So there's a lot.
Presumably, so you know that you can sell a direct drive wheel because you started this company and e-commerce was always there. So you can sell, where some companies, I think, struggle to sell new product lines because they don't know how to sell it. But what was the real reason you wanted to do a direct drive wheelbase? Why?
Yeah. So the real reason is that I want to have a completed similar cockpit.
Okay.
So the direct drive was the last.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's the most. Obviously, it sounds super logical, but
people may say then you're just doing it to finish the sets, and maybe it will be a compromise, and it's just there to finish the set kind of thing. That's what people may say.
We ended up with a partner, and the way that we got stumbled upon each other is something you cannot make up. There's no way you can plan it.
Okay.
And that's just, I think, end of the day, how a lot of things go. Not everything is always so much planned. And if you, without getting too fuzzy or philosophical, but that's a lot of the times how things work out. A lot of people that work in SimLab just stumbled in it one day, and became really became the pillars of the organization.
A bit of fate about it or something.
Right. That's, I guess, so the whole direct drive partnership, or the partner, the company that we work with, that's you cannot plan it. And so the moment that happens, then you start reshaping your ideas. Because we had some. Before we met with this company, we had other people and other companies, working with us or trying to, So that's how fuzzy it might sound. That's end of the day how things are going, and what.
We'll talk about some of the detail because I have been able to try it here, which has been great. But I just want to understand again, if I take you back to 2015, when you started selling sim racing products. For you personally, that must mean something, that this time next year, sooner, but this time next year, you can say to someone, here's everything you need hardware-wise to go sim racing, less PC and monitor, I guess. But that's it. Is that a completion of a journey? Maybe you didn't know at the beginning, I don't know. But
yes, no, for sure. It's not planned in a way, but obviously the dreams or the hopes are there, and you slowly carve towards your goals.
Yeah.
And for sure, it's a moment. It's not a moment where we stop making new stuff or anything, but it is a full circle moment.
You say that when you have this whole ecosystem, let's just call it whole. Will you go into making a million different shifters, and stuff, or will you say right now we're going to try and do the second version of the pedal, or we're going to do another version of the wheelbase? Do you think you will expand the amount of product SKUs?
Yeah, we will try to improve it.
But will you? Is this the core? These are the offerings, or do you want to focus on having more offerings? I'm trying to think. People who are buying SimLab now, what are they buying into with
okay, no, there's a roadmap. After that, there are a couple of things that we can do, that we want to do, and probably that we will do. Let's be honest, we will.
Yeah.
It's just keeping focus.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's keeping focus on launching the direct drive.
Yeah.
And even that's why we rejected a couple of other opportunities that we had that we could do with big brands, really, really big brands. And that's important. Sometimes you need to take a step back, focus on one product and try to finish it in the best way, maximize that. But for sure.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about direct drive wheel, because I have driven it, and there's another video on a channel where we did a blind test, which is really crazy, a really cool idea. But I feel like I said before, the cockpit is kind of like the motherboard, it's kind of like the skeleton in a way, in my opinion. But I feel like the wheelbase is kind of like the heart. There's something about the wheelbase that is very emotionally connected probably more than the cockpit actually, because it moves. And how have you approached that? Because you know people are going to buy this wheelbase, because you know that your existing customers are going to buy this. For you, hopefully, a whole new crowd of customers can buy it as well. Like, what do you hope they're going to feel about having a SimLab wheelbase? Like, because you are this company, you're the founder and CEO. So what do you hope they're going to feel from it?
I hope they're just really happy about it. I don't know. I hope they think they made the right choice of buying a similar base. But what we're trying to do is trying to make the best direct drive base, on the market. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And we have some advantages. We have the advantage that the company that we work with are absolute experts on direct drive. Not in a sim environment at all, but just in general, the industry. Because in the industry, in the general industry, there's a lot of places where direct drive servers are used, and we have the advantage that we can start with a clean slate now. So that's what we did.
Is that one of the most exciting products you've done? You're probably going to say they're all exciting, but like to finish this kind of thing in like the heart and like, but it connects everything. It can literally connect everything.
Yeah, it is, and it's exciting on the level that I can decide, what are the features, So that's exciting. The data pass through to do it right, So for example, not only to have the USB data pass through, but also the power pass through. So it opens up the scope in a way like, okay, in the future, we might have a wheel with so many LEDs that it needs to be powered externally, not only through the USB, like we currently have with the Porsche RSR wheel. Yeah. So that's exciting. We can do it we can apply our vision to it. Yeah, and so far it's turning out really good.
Yeah. Well, no, I've driven it, and it's very exciting, and there'll be a link to that video in the description. I just kind of want to wrap things a little bit, because we started. I said, is this how SimLab started? And you said no. And if you've got anything else you want to cover, then let's do it. But just to wrap up this bit, you said start in your kitchen. I just wonder, like, what is the connecting philosophy now between SimLab products? Is it to make the best products? Is that, if you had to condense it?
Yeah, I think you could really summarize it as making the best. So we're trying to do all the things which in the end make the customer, so to bring the biggest amount of value towards the customer. That's everything.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm not personally obsessed how things are done. I don't really care. It's about the end value of the customer. That's what everything is about. And I guess that's more or less the DNA of SimLab. And
is that when you look at a prototype, when you're the designer as well, so you're reviewing your own prototypes, I guess, with a different hat on sometimes, maybe. Sometimes you have to be super creative, sometimes you have to be a bit more like, are you always thinking, okay, what would the customer think? Like, what would...
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's actually starting with, a price point. What value can we bring?
Okay.
At this price point, and which manufacturing methods do we have at our disposal, and then to start filling in, okay, this is the cost target that I need to hit to make this whole thing feasible. For example, with this pedal set, we're selling it now at $399, which is a whole lot of value for what you're getting. And that is, when I set out to design this pedal set, it was like, okay, if I use these type of manufacturing methods, I could potentially hit this cost price, and then I could sell it for.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a quick question, because Richard's also driving us to the airport, so doing everything at SimLab, which is insane. Dream product, because you this is a milestone. I think when the DD's here, it's a milestone. It's not the end of the story. Right. It's a milestone. Dream product, where no compromises. Do you have, like, in your back of your mind, like, I would love to do a rig where it's all motorized and everything adjusts itself automatically. And
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
that's a good question. I think there are things in my mind which I want to pursue, which I might not want to like disclose it right now because but
Are some of them, without disclosing anything, are some of them kind of close? Like, I'm going to bring something really cool to market.
yeah, that's not super close. Okay. Not like this year close, but I think I know where I want to take it. What is the end game? I think I got to figure it out for myself pretty good. I don't want to disclose it. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. But I got a clear picture where it can go.
Okay.
And it's based upon manufacturing.
Okay.
And manufacturing capabilities, because at the end of the day, you need to think in those type of solutions, because there are certain manufacturing types that are not feasible for the sim industry. And so for me, it's quite clear where I think I want to take it, and maybe for the next time. Okay,
watch this space. When we come back in a year or so, we will hopefully speak about that. But thank you so much, Richard, for your time. It's been insane, and Richard's been super generous. It's not a sponsor, you're not paid to be here, but like I said, Richard is driving us to the airport and covering our flights. Thanks for coming. Yeah, it's been amazing, and I can't wait to see more reactions on the wheelbase.